Hello there. Today we're going to talk about Episode 5 of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just as a note, there will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched this episode yet, this is the official spoiler warning. I have super mixed feelings on this episode. There were some really cool things in there, and some things that were just strange or out of character. Let's start with the good stuff. First, how about that flashback with Obi-Wan and Anakin? It was great to see that, and see it at a point in time where Anakin was still a Padawan, so the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin hasn't formed into the brotherhood that we see in Revenge of the Sith. I thought the choreography in there was great. I don't know how Ewan and Hayden felt, but it seemed like they were right at home playing those characters and able to deliver a convincing sparring sequence. I also thought it was great showing yet again why Obi-Wan was a Jedi Master. He was skilled enough to beat out Anakin and teach him a lesson while doing it. Vader gets to flex his Force abilities while he's pulling down a ship that is trying to take off, and then ripping it apart looking for Kenobi. We also get to see him basically toy with Reva while fighting her. The thing is, Reva's character is really trying to attack Vader, and it's nothing for Vader. He's easily able to deflect and stop all of her attacks, and it was just cool to watch Vader be Vader. We also get to hear James Earl Jones again, which is always great when he is actually voicing Vader. I think the sparring and Vader's badassery were my two favorite parts of this episode. We finally get more information on Reva, which is something we have been missing this whole time. It also gave Moses Ingram a chance to actually perform and act. It was nice that the writers finally gave that to her. I honestly haven't seen her in anything else, but I've heard she was good in other things, so it was frustrating to see her character not be handled well, which was shortchanging the actress in terms of giving her something to work with for her character. The Grand Inquisitor is back, so the canon wasn't broken, yay! We get to see Haja again, which, while it was brief, I enjoyed because his character has been entertaining. He reminds me a little of Hondo Ohnaka, granted nowhere near Hondo's level, but in the vein of that type of character. Obi-Wan also seems to be getting more and more comfortable with using the Force again, so that is good to see too. Those were the highlights for me. That being said, there was a lot in there that just left me scratching my head. Why, oh why, would Bail Organa send a message to Obi-Wan? You're telling me that one of the founders of the rebellion doesn't know when to keep quiet, or how to keep a secret? That just blew my mind. I get that Bail hasn't heard anything, so he is worried, but if you suspect that Obi-Wan has fallen into the hands of the Empire, why would you send a message to his communicator, which would now most likely be in the hands of the Empire? And while he was trying to be kind of vague in his message, there was still plenty in there that Vader could have easily sussed out what was being discussed in that message, and Luke is toast at that point. And you're telling me they didn't come up with a backup plan in case the worst should happen to Obi-Wan and Leia? There really was no plan B that would go into effect if Obi-Wan hadn't reported in by a certain date? And you are telling me that Obi-Wan didn't clear out his voicemail after he got the message before giving his communicator to someone else? I mean, come on. Okay, next, there is no way the Jedi would leave behind their lightsabers. They might destroy them, but not leave them behind. I get that they might be trying to leave that part of them behind, but if those fell into the Empire, like they might have in this episode, that gives the Empire a list of Jedi that survived Order 66. The Empire can pretty easily figure out which lightsaber belonged to which Jedi, and then they can go down the list and be like, yep, we got them and them, but nope, we haven't gotten this one yet, let's start hunting them. So while it was a nice moment for Obi-Wan to know that he isn't alone, it also opens up the Jedi to further hunting. Okay, so there are two ships in the hangar. We see Vader take one down, and then another one flies off. First, if Vader can bring down the first ship, why didn't he bring down the second? He pretty much let them get away again. Secondly, if the ship that did get away didn't have a working hyperdrive, why didn't they use the other ship? Because presumably that one had a working hyperdrive. If they had time to prep the hangar, they had time to rearrange the ships too. Third, if there were two ships, why did the Path hold off on getting people out of there while waiting for Tala and Obi-Wan? There really was no reason to wait if there were two ships. Even if the one didn't have a hyperdrive, get those people out of there so the Empire doesn't find them. When the Empire arrives at the hangar, the shock troopers were useless and didn't provide much shock value. The Empire's cannon also seems somewhat useless, since it can't penetrate the doors to the hangar. We also see Reva cut right through the doors in about 5 seconds. Why didn't she just do that in the first place instead of wasting time trying to get through it with the cannon? Additionally, why would she only have 2 stormtroopers secure Obi-Wan in an unsecured area? That's just redshirting those 2 stormtroopers. Basically, the Empire looked foolish while trying to take the hangar. Can we also talk about the fact that Grogu, and now Reva, managed to escape Vader at the Jedi Temple? This is making Vader look like an ineffective fool at this point when he was supposed to take out everyone at the Jedi Temple. Also, it was like nails on a chalkboard hearing the words, somehow you survived. It was just like, somehow Palpatine survived. Can we bar Star Wars from using the word somehow when talking about a character's storyline or backstory in all future movies and shows? While I enjoyed watching Vader pulling the ship back down, because I completely believe that it is in the realm of his abilities, it is getting to be overused at this point by Disney's Star Wars. We saw Rey do it, we saw Kylo Ren do it, and now Vader. I think the ability to pull a ship back down should be relegated to a very, very select few characters, and I think Vader is one of them. Palpatine would be another. I don't think Rey and Kylo are truly strong enough to do that, and we definitely shouldn't keep seeing it because it kind of cheapens that ability. I am guessing the information we got about Reva's backstory is supposed to be why she was hunting Kenobi. She blames him for Vader since Anakin was his Padawan, which was, I guess, an okay reason to hunt Kenobi, but still, just wasn't a great reason for her recklessness as far as Kenobi was concerned. What might have been a better reason was what if Reva was one of the Force-sensitive children we see saved in the Clone Wars series? What if she blamed Obi-Wan for not coming to her rescue again once the Empire took over and she was recaptured to be experimented on again and turned into an Inquisitor? I'm sure there are flaws with that story too, but it keeps Vader from looking a fool and gives a little more reason why she would be upset with Obi-Wan. Moving along, for me the sparring scenes did have a detractor, aside from the de-aging in there, which was it seemed like the writers tried to put lines in those scenes to try and make the "I am the master now" lines in A New Hope make sense still. Don't get me wrong, I like the sparring scenes, but Obi-Wan's line where he said that until Anakin learns that lesson, he will remain a Padawan seemed like it was solely in the scene as an attempt to try and fix or stay within canon. We have the same problem of Vader left someone alive by leaving Reva alive. He had the two lightsabers in his hands. He honestly really would have done to Reva what he did to Count Dooku with those two lightsabers and just take her head off. Because apparently a stomach wound is only fatal to Qui-Gon and no one else in Star Wars, stabbing her through the stomach wasn't a guarantee that it was going to kill her. Vader left a loose end at that point, which is unlike him to do that. The reveal that the Grand Inquisitor was still alive was also unsatisfying. He just shows up, makes some quips, and takes his flare back from Reva. That was it. He didn't get to be the one to take her out, or show off the reason why he is the Grand Inquisitor. He was just there. That was it. I think the best way to sum up this episode is to say, we were on the verge of greatness. We were this close. Again, there are kernels of good ideas in this episode, but they aren't finessed, and in this episode are drowned out by the fact that Bail Organa would never do what he did in this episode. He knows how important Leia and Luke are, so there's absolutely no way he would risk them like he did. I am sure there's more to discuss about this episode, but I will leave it there for now. So here are my questions for you. What was your favorite part of this episode? What did you think of Bail's actions in this episode? What do you think Reva will do with the knowledge she has now? Also, I would love to use these videos to showcase fan art. If you have any you would like for me to include in the videos, please send it over and I will do my best to include it. Well, I think that is about it for this entry, so I just wanted to say that I hope you have a great day and may the Force be with you.